know, that'd probably be what's causing the leak. So I think this is the cap for that. Oh yeah. Negative. Yep. So maybe the reason this thing never started was because I just don't tighten stuff enough. These two nuts back here were both loose, and that's actually where I have the positive end of the coil packs ran to. So maybe, same issue with the starter, just sparking, it didn't have a good connection and wasn't starting. So I'm just gonna pull this throttle body off because in there's actually a lot of debris in the bottom. I don't know how that got in there. Probably the no air filter. But I'm gonna do that, spray some starting fluid, and see if it kicks over a little bit. What is that thing? Yeah. It's looking a lot better. So I think I figured out why the coils aren't working. In there, I've got this wire hooked up to what was grounded through a relay. And this is actually going to the positive wire. So none of these are actually getting power. That'd probably explain the no spark issue. All right, so just to clarify, going from left to right on this pin, on the left, you have the load power for the coil pack. That's the red wire. The white wire, which is the second one in, is the positive end of the signal for the coil pack. And both of these just need to be run to the battery. But this red one, I actually have run to a relay to cut power. Then third one in, this black wire here is actually with this Haltech, that's the signal negative, and that's actually ran to the ECU. And then this other last black wire is actually just grounded out to the frame. But the issue was I had ran this black wire and this red wire to the same point under the dash. So it was just grounding both of them instead of looping and making power between the battery. So I've got it switched now. So under the dash here, the ECU there, and then we've also got this relay, and we've got this black wire is ran grounded. This yellow wire I've got ran, this is actually ran to the battery. This is for the starter. And then this white wire is actually goes to the positive end, and this blue wire is just a signal for the relay. So when power is hit to the blue, it jumps to the negative, bridging the relay, which then connects power between this white and yellow wire, basically bringing power from the battery through this white wire to the coils. Oh, what is that? So I don't think that normally sparked it. Whoa! I think that's it sparking. I'm gonna keep messing around with it. Whoa. More starting getting somewhere. Let me just try that again. For some reason, when I turn the ECU off and I turn it back on, yeah, let me try more starting fluid. I feel like I'm getting close. Like it's trying. Oh, fuck. Ow. It fired once, and I just don't have words for it. I spent almost 3 years working on this car, and this motor was built over 2 years ago. And this is the first sign of it actually firing. As soon as it did that, at first I was like, I broke something? And then once I realized what happened, like it actually fired, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Jumping up and down out of excitement. Like that's so much progress that it just showed to me. It showed me that there's hope in the engine actually running, which is amazing because this is the first motor I built. I've never built an engine. The most I've probably done that I say I know I had the experience for was taking a valve cover off to see if cams were like scratched or anything. That's it. Otherwise, I don't do like deep mechanical work. Like I don't do it for a living, haven't done it growing up. So it's all experimental for me. Like even the bike, tearing the motor out and putting it on the bench and like the front forks off, like I had 80% of the bike apart just from what I figured out with cars and how they come apart and how they work. Just applied to a smaller scale and slightly different with motorcycles. A lot of this shit's the same. With no experience to any of this, prior to just screw it, let's try it, it fired. And it's like giving me so much hope that it'll actually run. So I'm gonna look into it more. I think there's still a spark cutting issue where when it's trying to crank, there's gotta be a bad connection somewhere because when I turn it on, for some reason it wants to test the sparks or coils and spark it, which is why it fired. But when I crank it, I think there's not enough power flowing through the whole electrical system. Not necessarily a too small a battery issue, more of there's probably a loose connection somewhere or bad connection because the ECU will sometimes like the RPM will drop to 0 randomly, like intermittently. And then the coils weren't sparking, but that was more of a wiring issue. But I think right now it's just getting a weak spark, which could be, I'm using a 30 amp relay for the coil packs. I read plenty of places it might need 2 or more, like a relay per coil pack. So I might try just not running a relay, just running the wire and seeing if that helps. If it does, then I'll probably add more relays. It's a whole lot of figuring stuff out. Checking, making sure none of the ECU's power and the coil's power is bad. I'm also going to fix the fuel leaks finally and see if it can run off of the ECU and actually run, not just fire once or run for a little bit off the brake starting fluid I spray in it. Still a lot of work to be done before I can ever even attempt to go down the road. I hope you guys are enjoying watching along on this journey. I know most of it wasn't recorded because I didn't have a channel at the time, but now I actually have hope for a lot of this. I hope this, if anything, is at least motivating to some people to just go out there, work on your car. Like, don't if it's freezing. That's why I haven't worked on this all winter. But just go work on your stuff, figuring stuff out. And then when you get that like sign of this is actually gonna work, it feels so good. Like I can't express to you how I felt when that fired. It was a few seconds of, ow, my ear hurts. Did I break this thing? And then I realized that was basically one fire of like 2-step or something. That was one really rich fire it had, which is why it was so loud. Also the flames coming out of the turbo. That was the one fire of hope. The one fire of this thing might run, and soon too. So I don't even know how to explain it. I'm just so excited for this. I know that rant was kind of long, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are also inspired to work on your projects. I know I am, and I'm probably gonna work on this thing today and tomorrow. No, family dinner's tomorrow. But I'm probably gonna work on this thing tomorrow, or I'm probably gonna work on this thing tonight, but it's getting there, and it's inspiring even to myself that it might work. So I hope you guys follow along on the journey. I truly think it's gonna be a great one. But I'll catch you guys in the next video.